Now, winning the Media Network of the Year for the first time, of course, can be attributed to chance. But if an agency wins it thrice in a row, then there's something deeper at work here. Let's try and find out what's behind this consistency from their top leaders, Ellen Griffin and Charlotte Lee. Thank you so much for joining us. They're both leading OMD, Global and APAC, of course. Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you for having us.
Now, a lot of the work, culturally sound work from Latin America, India and APAC, of course, is being awarded. But tell me, are clients really willing to learn from the Asian markets as much today? And is inspiration really linear and coming from the other side and not from APAC to the world?
Oh no, absolutely. Markets in APAC like China and India are becoming innovation hubs in their own right, really, and creating solutions and platforms and culturally resonant ideas that other markets are really turning to for inspiration and learning. So what's really changed is, you bring together the scale, the digital infrastructure, and the constantly maturing talent that we have in the region. And that really, if you look at India, for example, right, the digital infrastructure, the public digital infrastructure is creating a more connected population than ever before. And that, fueled with an incredibly entrepreneurial ecosystem, means that you see markets like India creating new models for marketing, for commerce, and for consumer engagement. So the flow is now no longer just one way, it's actually two-way, and it's really those connected solutions that global clients are looking to, regardless of where they are originating from.
Now, Omnicom, from what I understand, has given up on those global CEO roles for agencies, and they moved to brand presidents. Tell me, how is that really making a change on ground?
I think this is exactly what our clients need. From going from a global CEO who is really managing the agency, the media agency, to a brand president that's really focused on connecting our Omnicom capabilities across. That's exactly what our clients are needing for us to deliver. They don't need us to deliver better media. They need us to deliver better connected consumer experiences.
Okay.
So in my role, I don't have to manage just the media organization. My role, we have brilliant leaders across countries like in India, regions, APAC, and globally that can manage in that regard. My role is really to make sure that we are connecting across Omnicom to bring the best of, with media being such at the center of that new way of behaving. And so I think it is brilliant how we've restructured to really focus on delivering that for our clients.
And also, Charlotte, now we're seeing media buying becoming increasingly commoditized. We're seeing LLMs, automated buying coming into the picture. So how do you really save that art of media buying today in this new world?
So absolutely, fundamentally, AI is helping to change how we are buying media and optimizing media. But what's not changing is the need for really that differentiated strategic approach. And media strategy only really becomes commoditized when it is reduced down to execution. And so obviously we were using our technology like Omni to be able to better understand audiences. But the real unlock is then, how do you apply those insights?
Right.
That's not something that automation alone can do. And so really it becomes a matter of, yes, technology is automating the insights, but it's really that human perspective and human judgment that is driving the value for our clients.
One thing that global networks often get criticized for is how they create sameness.
Yes.
So how do you basically create a global product, one agency which is known for something really good, and yet give that option to the local markets to take creative risks and do something which is very specific to their taste there?
Absolutely. I think that is an ongoing challenge, as you mentioned. And how we approach it at OMD is, how do we actually make our local countries more brilliant? And that should be our role globally. So if you think about a raise the floor, and if you will, raise the ceiling approach. So raise the floor, what are things that we can help take off of the local team's plates? Things like how, taxonomy, things that would take so much time for each country to try to figure out, and try to make that seamless and easier. And also, how do we make sure that there's resources that can help look at what's next, which is obviously exactly what OMD is known for, of what's next, and how globally can we make sure that there are resources that can help each local country think that way, so that the actual countries can work on the brilliance that they have and not have to necessarily worry about that. And I think the biggest thing is, when you look at a country like India, there is so much brilliance that's happening, the complexity of of India, the digital first nature of India. What we need to do, if I do my job correctly, we need to make sure that the brilliance that's happening in countries like India is actually scaling fast.
Right.
So it's not about taking things from headquarters and pushing them down. It's about taking the brilliance of what's happening in some of our most sophisticated and emerging countries and scaling those simply and easily across. So that to me it's not about sameness, it's about scalability, and it's about reducing complexity.
And we were discussing about how some ideas can come from APAC to global.
Absolutely.
Are there some specific case studies that you really want to talk about, where you took APAC insight and applied it to a global challenge?
I can start, and then I would love, there's actually quite a few instances in which, tools have been built, even via Omni, agents, etc., that really allow us to cut through some of the complexity that we see locally. And then being able to take a tool, there was one like from an investment perspective, how you're thinking about investing across. And because the challenge was actually seen sooner in India than it was seen globally, the local team actually started to create technology to solve that. We've now taken that and scaled that as a part of our investment planner technology. Obviously, there's differences in different countries that we've adapted, but again, how do we make sure where there's challenges that are first seen in a country like India, maybe ahead of where we'll see that challenge globally, how do we take that and then take that technology that we've created and discuss how we can scale that to help solve that challenge, even in advance of that becoming a big thing in some of the other countries.
Now, you spoke about Omni, and that's very well known for driving these universal marketing truths. But APAC market works very differently. There's a different kind of infrastructure. There are walled gardens there, like WeChat, Grab. How do you then use something like an Omni and translate it to where it will work in APAC? Isn't that like the biggest challenge for you?
Do you know what? Omni was never created to be this one-size-fits-all global platform. Really, the benefit lies in the fact that it is very modular technology. And what it does is allow us to have that connected intelligence system across every market consistently, but still have that local adaptability that you need to in a region like APAC. As you rightly called out, it's such a diverse region, and you look at the walled gardens in China with WeChat and with Douyin, the super apps in Southeast Asia like Grab, and then you've got the really platform-specific nuances and regulations in markets like Japan and Korea and India. The benefit of that modular approach with Omni is really where we have an advantage. And what we do is, we look at the things that can be consistent across markets, like our investment approach or our planning and insights approach, taxonomy and governance. And we keep those consistent, but then we also look at the elements that do need to be localized, like our data partnerships or our platform integrations or creator economies and commerce signals. So really it becomes a balance between that global consistency, but also that real local execution and innovation.
We've often heard that Asia Pacific is the fastest growing market for companies across, and that we are setting the agenda for global companies today. But I was just going through your Q1 reports, and it showed how United States was still contributing to about 60% of your revenue, and APAC a meager 10%. So tell me, what are the areas where APAC is doing way better than your other markets?
Well, yeah, I think kind of back to the original question that you asked when you said, what do we have to hold on to versus where, what would we give away? I mentioned challenger mindset is hold on to, but I think ambition is the biggest thing that we need to change. And I feel that in the US or in some of our, really large established countries, we feel that we have a recipe that works.
Okay.
And a challenge there is how do you make sure that you disrupt that enough to meet the changes that's happening. And one of the most brilliant things that's happening in APAC is that there's not necessarily, the landscape is evolving so quickly that we actually have more of that ambition to not just be the best media network, but actually to be the best partner in agentic marketing to our clients.
Okay.
And so to me, how do we take that mindset and translate that globally? Because there's so much more complexity, agentic innovation. The way people are purchasing is obviously, much farther ahead than what we're seeing in other countries. So we're forced, if you will, to behave that way. And that's something that I see as the learnings, not only the technology and tools, but just the way we connect across. A lot of the briefs that we've been receiving across APAC have already connected content and media far more than the briefs that we've seen in the US as an example. So that to me is some of those, the reasons why that we're seeing that is the necessary reason to connect those.
That's a win for you.
Yeah, and if I would just add to that, I think that APAC really leads in areas like innovation and future-facing capabilities. If you look at India, for example, where we are leading in connected commerce solutions, and that's really because of the landscape in India, where you've got the rise of quick commerce and also these, these connected ecosystems. It really is shaping how brands are driving outcomes in that market and for the rest of the world. The other area where we're also leading is really in our operating models and talent. And we are creating agile organizations where we're taking, for example, in India, we're taking really experienced leadership. We're marrying that with new talent and capabilities that are coming through the pipeline, as well as the culture that is just inherently very agile and adaptive. And so really we're seeing that benefit us in terms of really high client retention, really high talent retention, and also increased growth of business.
And one last question. What are your expectations from India and Anisha, who's leading the team there?
So Anisha is doing a fantastic job, and she, I speak about experienced leadership, and she really brings that to it. So we just want to continue to see growth, and now within this new ecosystem that we live in as Omnicom, and the IPG acquisition has really strengthened our offering in India, and to really see OMD continue to lead the way for Omnicom in that market.
Exactly. I think just to add on, I think it's making sure that, it's very easy to think that everyone knows what's happening. And I think what Anisha does such a brilliant job of is ensuring that we have visibility into not only what the brilliance that we're delivering OMD locally, but also what's needed to push Charlotte from a regional perspective, me from a global perspective, to make sure we're also showing up and delivering for her and for the brilliant team that we have there to allow them to unlock and continue to grow.
Fab. Have you put all your focus on Cannes this year? I mean, despite the consolidation and all of that?
I mean, Cannes is such a wonderful moment. It's a moment to celebrate the success, to be inspired for where we need to go, to connect. There's nothing better than to connect in person with team members and leaders. But I actually think this is a moment to connect, but the real work is when you leave. And how day in and day out, you celebrate and motivate our teams. And there are so many brilliant people that aren't here, that are the reason we're here. So it's a great moment, but we don't take lightly the fact that we're here representing the most brilliant marketers in the world.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for speaking to me.
Thank you.